Does your government care for your financial welfare? That is a great question. Does your central bank care if your currency is worthless? Debt is an asset to the central banks and a liability to you and your family. If you continue to use debt, you will end up in abject poverty along with 70+% of the middle classes. Do you really believe that Donald Trump's tariffs have created this issue? As a monetary researcher, I believe what we're looking at is the exact same playbook as 1933. Due to excessive debt perpetrated by the commercial banks in the 1920s, otherwise known as the Roaring Twenties, the issue was that the common man couldn't pay back the debt. As a result, we saw the loss of confidence on the derivatives markets. By the October of 1929, Wall Street started to fail. It took 3 years for the stock market to reach the bottom. By the middle of 1932, the US Federal Reserve made the catastrophic move of dropping its interest rates. This is exactly where we are right now. We already have a blueprint for what's about to happen. By the end of 1932, Wall Street had reached 10% of its original 1923 value. As a result of the loss of confidence in the derivatives markets and hence the US dollar, there was nothing left to do other than shut the entire system down, which Franklin D. Roosevelt actioned under Proclamation 2039 just 2 days into his presidential term on March 6, 1933. The entire banking system in the United States was shut down to prevent bank runs. The common man was locked out of his commercial bank accounts. All he was left with was the few dollars that he had either under his mattress or in his possession. Exactly 1 month later, in a state of emergency, under Executive Order 6102 on April the 5th, 1933, Franklin D. Roosevelt ordered the confiscation of gold from the common man. The reason was that gold was the only asset in the black in 1933 after the complete loss of confidence in the derivatives markets. Gold has always been a flight to safety and a safe haven asset. And since the US dollar was still functioning under the Gold Standard Act of 1900, it meant that convertibility was still possible. But that all ended on April the 5th, 1933, giving mums and dads and consumers just 26 days to bring their gold back to the commercial banks. Anything over 5 ounces of gold, which represented $100, had to be returned to a commercial bank. Otherwise, the common man would be charged with trading with the Enemy Act of 1917. This was made possible by the Fifth Amendment Eminent Domain Clause of the United States Constitution. By May the 1st, 1933, it was all over for the man in the street. His wealth had been all but stripped away. The final blow happened 9 months later in the Gold Reserve Act of 1934, when Franklin D. Roosevelt banned the trading of gold altogether at the retail level, an order that would not be repealed until the 1st of January 1975. The true wealth of the middle class of the United States was wiped out for the next 40 years. Gold will not be confiscated on this reset. In fact, gold and Bitcoin may trade together on something called the Bit Metallic Standard. This is because Bitcoin has not only been the most successful trading asset of the last 16 years, but also due to its limited mintage of just 21 million and its market capitalization of 2 trillion. Mining just 140,000 Bitcoin a year, with the final Bitcoin being mined in 2140, Donald Trump, the 47th President of the United States, has recently signed into life Bitcoin as a strategic reserve asset. Gold cannot and will not be confiscated on this reset due to the disparate price difference between the book price of gold at $42.22 an ounce and the current 3,000 US price on the spot market. In Australia, there is only a single reference to the confiscation of gold in the Banking Act of 1959, Section 4. There has never been a gold confiscation in Australia, nor do I believe there ever will be. When Franklin D. Roosevelt confiscated gold on April the 5th, 1933, he did so in a state of emergency. He claimed that gold would be used to restabilize the flailing US economy. Of course, gold was used for no such thing. When Franklin D. Roosevelt banned the trading of gold in January 1934, he also changed the price for the first time in 100 years since the Coinage Act of 1834. FDR, as he was better known, changed the price of gold from $20.67 an ounce, the price at which it was confiscated at. He changed it to $35 an ounce, thus collapsing the US dollar value by a further 59%. Rest assured that your government and your central bank has no interest in you or your family's welfare. If you attempt to traverse this reset using fiat currencies and debt-based assets, your ability to sustain yourself and your family will become extremely challenging indeed. In fact, for many, I believe it will be a wipeout. This is not the first reset. In my second book, The Great Asset Shift, I talk about 8 resets that preceded this one. 1819, 1837, 1857, 1873, 1893, 1907, 1933, and 2007. In my first book, Things We Were Never Told About Money, I talk about the very assets that the common man will need in order to sustain himself and his family. They are as follows: physical gold, 999, investor grade; physical silver, 999, investor grade; and of course, Bitcoin. ISO currencies such as XRP, HBAR, XLM, and so on are trading positions. Layer 1s and RWAs are also trading positions. In my opinion, Bitcoin offers the only true digital wealth position, largely due to its low counterparty risk and its decentralization. At Beat the Reset, we can provide you with these very assets. If you are looking to purchase gold, silver, or Bitcoin, we can allocate you into these assets very easily. All you need to do is book a consultation or send me a direct message. But most of all, doing nothing is not an option. Make good choices.